This is a short presentation on what I call the 7 A's. These 7 A's are the most valuable functions of the human body, brain, and mind. The 7 A's are conscious arousal, affect, awareness, attention, alertness, action, and agency. I will mainly emphasize the neuroscience aspect of these valuable aspects or functions of the human brain, mind, and being. Awareness is like the the light. One of the metaphors that is used for conscious awareness is the light that illumines the landscape that you are facing, that illumines the objects. That's how we know. It is the very knowing process. In fact, one of the dictum one could think of is, I know, therefore I am. This knowing capacity is innate or intrinsic on in human beings and also some of the primates. That is what we call the conscious awareness or the awareness itself. And then the contents of consciousness vary or change from moment to moment. These This light or the tube or the jyoti or the flame has been described from ancient times. Some of the metaphors have been like it is the sun within or the flame within. It's like the Atma Jyoti or Atma Teja. The next function is like alertness, attention, sentinel or witnessing, watching, and presence. If you see these group of animals, they are watching for any danger in their environment. Some of the adults look very focused in the direction of the danger that is probably coming. Some are distracted that they are not even looking in that direction. And some are too sleepy or drowsy, so they are not paying attention to what is happening. Our attention can be either like on the ball or eye on the field. Eye on the ball is like the soccer player playing the football or the soccer, and he's totally focused on the ball and he sort of stands or postured to kick the ball in the chosen direction. Eye on the field is like a uh, quarterback who throws the football or soccer football, watching all the players that are in the field. He evaluates or notices the whole field and then spots the receiver that he has planned to throw the ball to, and then throws the ball to the receiver. And the receiver, of course, has an eye on the ball and tries to catch the ball. There are 7 primary emotions that have been described by Jack Panksepp. He did extensive research both in animals as well as in humans and defined at least 7 specific feelings or emotions that all animals and human beings have. And he even defined the neural circuits that are involved in these emotional states. First one is seeking or searching. Second one is lust or sexuality. Third is care, compassion, or love. Fourth is rage, anger. Fifth is fear or anxiety. Sixth is panic or sadness. And seventh is play, happiness, and joy. In this cartoon, Panksepp demonstrates or tries to convey that the non-specific arousal depends on a combination of neurotransmitters from the brainstem. It's a very complex system of reticular limbic system in which multiple neurotransmitters are involved, including acetylcholine, serotonin, norepinephrine, histamine, orexin, etc. Many of them are kind of concentrated in the periaqueductal gray area where coherence or integration occurs. Then from there, these 7 primary emotions with neural networks are involved: seeking, lust, care, rage, fear, panic, and play. Then the secondary emotions include object relations, intersubjectivity, where the amygdala and the limbic system and the basal ganglia are involved. This may include empathy, trust, balance, blame, pride, shame, and guilt. And finally, the tertiary emotions include complex functions like distancing skills, mindfulness, contentment, mentalization, and names of feelings, where mainly the neocortical areas are involved. The emotional arousal can be preconscious or subconscious, and also conscious with a subjective experience. Primitive emotions can be preconscious or subconscious, and the subjective experiences, these are the areas, mainly the upper pons, midbrain, hypothalamus, amygdala, limbic system, cingulate gyrus. These are some of the areas, and then the orbitofrontal cortex. These are the areas that are primarily involved in emotional processing. Awakening, of course, occurs from sleep almost every day for all of us. And waking up from anesthesia has also been documented with these areas involved in the activation, both in the cerebellum, pons, midbrain, subcortex, cingulate gyrus, and the frontal cortex, inner frontal cortex. The sleep-wake cycle includes multiple stages of alertness or drowsiness. Alert wakefulness includes beta waves of the EEG, which are like 13 to 30 hertz. Also, sometimes the gamma waves when you are totally focused in doing cognitive work. Then in quiet wakefulness, there is alpha activity, which is 8 to 12 hertz. Then the REM sleep has beta waves and some theta waves. Then the sleep stages, the deep sleep has stage 1, 2, 3, 4. The stage 1 has low voltage spindles. Stage 2 and 3 has theta waves. And finally, stage 4 has delta activity, where one loses conscious awareness to some extent. Then as we descend from wakefulness to REM to stage 1, 2, 3, 4 sleep, we also have periods of coming up and arousing to a state of REM or dream state. REM stands for rapid eye movement sleep, and we have 5 to 6 periods of dream or REM sleep during an 8-hour period. Then the wake promoting pathways are fairly complex. Most of the neurons and the nuclei involved are in the pons and midbrain. For instance, this locus ceruleus which secretes norepinephrine, raphe nuclei which secretes 5-hydroxytryptamine or serotonin, ventral tegmental area which generates dopamine, and the tuberomammillary nucleus in the hypothalamus which secretes histamine. And all these neurotransmitters have an activating effect on the cerebral cortex, which arouses us or makes us awake and alert and attentive. There is also the nuclei of pedunculopontine and laterodorsal tegmental nuclei, which secretes acetylcholine, which reaches thalamus and from thalamus goes to the whole cortex. All these neurotransmitters are extremely important and essential for our wakeful and conscious state. In the mechanisms of REM sleep or dream sleep, there is stimulation, especially of the PPT and LDT nuclei in the midbrain tegmentum, which stimulates thalamus. And there is also stimulation of histamine, serotonin, and norepinephrine. And there is inhibition of motor neurons, so that if you're dreaming about flying in the sky, you don't actually get out of your bed and fly. So the motor system is sort of inhibited or paralyzed. Same thing about swimming or walking during sleep. So this inhibitory pathway is essential uh, for the dream state. Of course, some of the patients can have what has been described as somnambulism, in which they are dreaming, but they get out of bed and do certain things mechanically without any awareness. The mechanisms of non-REM sleep include ventrolateral preoptic area, which secretes inhibitory neurotransmitters, namely GABA and galamine, which then inhibits TMN, RAFA, LC, and PPT and LDT. So these sleep prominent neurotransmitters, GABA and galamine, they inhibit all the wake-related neurotransmitters, including histamine, serotonin, norepinephrine, and acetylcholine. So there is a sort of balancing act between the neuron, this VLPO, which tries to put you to sleep, and this amines, catecholamines, and acetylcholine, which tries to wake us up. So there is a wake drive and sleep drive. And there is a constant balancing act between the two. There is a homeostatic sleep drive and a circadian waking drive, sleep-wake drive, 24-hour cycle. And there is a constant attempt to stabilize this behavioral state between sleep and wakefulness. And one of the proposals that orexin may be involved in this balancing act of sleep-wake cycle. There are 7 aspects of consciousness. Broadly speaking, motivation, memory, perception, awareness, alertness, attention, and executive function. Each of these have complex neural networks involved to mediate these complex functions, and the various structures involved in the brain and brainstem and subcortex and the cortex itself are shown in this diagram. Then this is an interesting pyramid which shows that there are physiological needs and wishes such as breathing, food, water, sex, sleep, homeostasis, and excretion. Safety needs like security of the body, employment, resources, morality, family, health, and property. Love and belonging needs include friendship, family, sexual intimacy. Esteem include respect for others, respect by others, confidence, achievement, and self-esteem. And then self-actualization, which includes acceptance of facts, lack of prejudice, problem solving, spontaneity or effortlessness, creativity, morality, and I would add authenticity.